Bruce, thank you very much for welcoming us.
Sure.
That's the third time that I'm here. And every time that I'm here, I listen to new stories that when you give you the tour, and sometimes those stories, they cross the internet or books, but there's a couple that are very interesting too, and I would like you to share with us, because we kind of have those cars as slot cars, and they're part of racing history. So the first one I would like to ask is about the Bizzarrini and the fact that the guy drove to the track,
Yeah.
on the track, come back.
Well, the Bizzarrini is a little known brand, really.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it should be Porsche, Ferrari, Bizzarrini.
Really?
Because Giotto Bizzarrini, who's the patriarch, the designer, the owner, graduated technical school in Milan and was hired right away by Alfa and then right to Ferrari. And he was really the brain trust at Ferrari that built the GTO. And then in 1961, they had the Palace Revolt, and he was dismissed from Ferrari and went to ATS, and then then he went to Count Revolta's.
Okay.
And then, Bizzarrini, all he wanted to do was race. He had a lot of the same DNA that Enzo did.
Yeah.
Building boulevard cars was not his preference, but he was hired to build boulevard cars, and they built the Iso Rivolta and a few other
Grifo, maybe.
Iso Grifo.
Yeah.
But he really wanted to build race cars. So the car we have here, he built in Laverno, drove it to Le Mans. It won its category, finished in the top 10, and he drove it home. It's a very original car. The car is never, and then it went to an American owner for a little while, Remington Olstad, and then it went into a museum for about 30 years. So it's never really been restored, but it's wonderful history.
And I see that you drive around. So saw a trunk or something.
I drive everything. Yeah, I drive everything.
So the guy has no team. Just put the tools in the on the car and just drive it there, find some partners, and just race.
Well, it's probably a little more involved than that.
Okay.
But he had two great drivers.
All right.
And their names split. Just leave me right at the moment. But they were good drivers. Because Chris Amon drove it. I mean, he had good drivers. He had Noblet and Guichet. I mean, he knew good drivers. So.
And I know that you have this great picture over there of the car leading the race.
Isn't that fabulous?
It's amazing.
Well, Bizzarrini would be a household name.
Yeah.
But he was a terrible businessman.
Sure.
And had a hot temper. So the combination of those two just dismissed him from the real world.
A couple of weeks ago, we were at the Simeone Museum in New Jersey.
No, in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Right.
Yeah. And they have the Spider version, whatever they call it. But I didn't know that the car exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And Pete Brock was also very involved in the design of that.
Yeah. So Peter Brock was involved then, and then after that, the Cobra. The same museum, the Simeone, they have the Cobra Coupe.
Fred Simeone was a very good friend.
Yeah.
He's since passed about 2 years ago. But that man had exquisite taste. And like Fred, almost everything I have has competition links somewhere. I think, competition is what made, great engineering.
Yeah.
If there was no competition, they wouldn't be working on aero or things that make cars go fast. So Fred Simeone and I both very much admire, I don't like to say collect, but, in our garage we have a lot of great competition cars. Now Fred has next level, but...
I saw the Porsche Psychedelic, the 917.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, Fred had exquisite taste, and that's the real Cobra Coupe, That's,
that's the
famous
car
one.
that belonged to Phil Spector later.
That's right. Okay, so you know the story.
Yeah, Phil Spector, and that car is connected to Slotcars because the guy who sold to Phil Spector was Jim Russell, the owner of Rusket. There was like a very important slot car brand in the 60s.
Really?
Yeah. So that car, I remember when you have some lettering in yellow right at the door of the car. Remember that?
Yeah.
So that was the promotion for the slot car business.
Really?
Very involved, yeah. So I have a surprise for you.
Oh, look at that.
Look at this.
That's a slot car, eh?
That's a slot car.
I mean, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is beautiful.
That's made by MMK, handmade in France.
Oh my God, it's gorgeous.
Our gift to you for the collection.
Oh, proudly we will display this.
Cool, right?
Really cool.
Yeah, it's
You know, I mean, I miss slot cars because they weren't really developed so much when I was young. But by the way, I hope everybody gets a chance to see this cool thing.
we can add it with pictures of the Bizzarrini.
Yeah. Boy, you did a beautiful job.
Yeah.
As you always do.
Yeah. No, it's
beautiful.
It's a man named Victor Di Natale in France. He handcraft those things, and he sell like 20 of each. And I was trying to match something that you have here because I know that the 935 K3 you already have the slot car version. The Jag you already have the slot car version.
I do, and I have and also I just got the Martini Porsche in a slot car.
Oh, you got that?
Yeah, isn't that fabulous?
Yeah,
I have it on my desk.
You have it on the desk. It's the Le Mans miniatures. The brand.
I can show it to you if you want.
Because we have exactly that car.
Well, it's probably you.
Yeah, probably me. Do you have the other car? So we have another one that I want to show you. That's a prototype. I can't leave with you, but I will send you one.
No.
That's the number 3 car, actually, the winner of the race. And
oh, I see. This just fits on here.
And that's what we're releasing in December.
Right.
Look at this. Look at that.
What's interesting is that, boy, this is beautiful.
Yep.
Well, the only thing you need are the headlight covers.
So that's the thing. We're planning, and that's not for certain right now, but we're planning in the future to sell a set with all 3 cars and then with the headlight covers.
Yeah, and also the little lights on the roof.
Okay.
Because they match the headlight covers.
The column. Okay.
Do you have
the head on your roof here?
I do.
Okay.
You can take pictures.
Oh, good.
Because I know how.
And I'm curious about the material that they make the covers. There's some sort of a plastic. It's like hard plastic.
The
covers for the headlights.
Plastic.
Okay.
Yeah, and they come off because you need them obviously in the nighttime. But the number 3 car finished in the top 10 and won its category.
It was a class, 5 points.
And by Le Mans records, my car, which I have numbered number 2, is really number 3. But I don't want to upset the Corvette guys.
Come on, what? So they changed the number here. So
I don't want to go there.
Okay.
I said, when I'm gone, somebody else can work it out. I'm very happy to have what I have.
So he might be the number 3 car.
Might be. It could be. Yeah, that's a good way of
because what's his name? Chris Cunningham? No, it was Rick Cunningham, right? The Team Cunningham team.
Right. They have number 1.
Okay, they still have it because the Rick Cunningham from Team Cunningham. He passed away, right?
Okay, well, Briggs Cunningham.
Okay.
Briggs Cunningham obviously had all 3 cars at one time.
But they have 4, right? They start with 4.
No, 3.
Okay.
1, 2, and 3. There was another car that was owned by Camerati.
Okay.
It was also a Corvette.
Very different.
Very different.
Okay.
And that's for sale right now, actually.
All right.
But really, the Cunningham car should what everybody lusts for. And I've had that car, the one I have now at Goodwood. Amelia Island. It's been all over the world, and it's an amazing thing.
When did you get it? How long ago?
I think probably 25 years ago, maybe
was
more.
In that condition, or have to do some work? Because I know that you do a lot of work.
It was almost in that condition.
Okay.
It was restored by a fellow named Mike. He'll come to me in a minute, but he's the Corvette guru, and he spent years restoring it and doing it absolutely accurately. This one here is the most complete of any of them. All the original bits. Because at the time he restored this, Chevrolet, Frank Burrell, who was really head of the Skunk Works, they built these cars out of a garage in Detroit. He still had the interior fabric, had the original dash from the winter.
Everything they took off.
Yeah, and so he gave it all to Mike. I can't believe I can't think of his name, but so mine is without a doubt the most authentic original with original bits in it, and so it's original material, everything.
So if you got it like 25 years ago, probably in the late 90s, and then those cars are already up on price because at that point people
I paid a lot for a Corvette.
Yeah.
I've got a
good investment.
Can I tell you what the guy's name is because
Sure.
now it's really
we can edit a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. It'll come to me.
That's fine.
Yeah. Sadly, he passed away.
Oh.
But if Tom comes, I'll have his number
Sure.
because he's worthy of
So,
celebration.
by the way, Tom is driving your car out there, right?
Right,
We just saw it on the street.
Yeah, so
Cobra
we don't
001.
use trailers, you know. Yeah. And so he drove it over to the Peterson. And it's running good.
It's kind of hard to drive around here with a lot of tourists around with
Well,
rental cars.
the good news is the police all know me and they come here. We
Yeah.
do, receptions for them, so they usually look the other way.
CSX 2001, right?
Yeah, first Cobra ever to race, ever to win a race.
I have a question regarding that because
That would make a great slot car.
oh yeah, but there's like a different cut on the side of the car. The door is kind of
That's
different
exactly
angle,
right. Kind of flare out a little bit, but
Yeah.
you could,
Many-
I think if you just did a slab side Cobra and put on those wheels, and
many companies did the Cobra, so we have many different molds.
Right.
But no one matches that one. So
no,
it kinda
because
got
it's
an-
unique.
There you go.
But just the same, I'm thinking if you just did a slab side and put number one on it, people know that car,
There's
the
a black
black
one,
number
yeah,
one. They
yeah.
know, they just know.
But Peterson is doing like selling a replica of it, right?
It's going to go live auction tomorrow night at the Peterson,
Yeah.
and we have it number 30 on it for our 30 years at the
Okay,
Peterson.
sure. Congratulations,
Yeah,
sir.
it's a lovely car. It's a fiberglass,
Sure.
super performance.
Superformance.
But they did a beautiful job. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a beautiful job.
But it's just like your car. That's why when you cross, you say, no, that's probably the car that they take into to
Well, you know
Pearson.
what's interesting is, so I've had Cobras since the '60s, and I've always wanted to get a really good competition car. The problem with the competition cars, they've been raced and abused and wrecked. So to find one that is, still what you hope it is very, very difficult. And my favorite car was the Dan Gurney car, but it had been rebodied. So I had it. I've had it since 1984, an SC Cobra, and it's blue with white stripes. And now every replica is blue with white stripes.
yeah.
So every time I took that car out, somebody said, "Is that a real one?" I got so tired of it. And then, as good fortune would have it, I was able to find CSX 2001, and I put the 1 on it, and people kind of know it. So
Okay,
nobody
good.
asked me if it's real. So I kind of made it through that one.
And that was another barn fire in Europe or something.
It
like that. I
was.
heard about that.
Yeah, it's so unabused. Original body, original chassis. You have the original engine in a box.
Okay.
It also ran the trials at Le Mans. It raced extensively in Europe, and just never abused. It was owned by a very wealthy Frenchman, Jean-Marie Vincent, and he had it. And from there, it went to some Johnny Halliday, who was a big, like the Elvis of Europe. I don't know if he owned it, but he used it for one of his records, and so it's got great history just on its own.
So, okay. So what is not clear is that, like, okay, somebody calls you, look, Bruce, there's a car here in France. Can you come and take a look? Or we're just there on vacations. Oh, check it out. I found a Cobra. How does it happen? It's just like magical because you have such a historical cars here. And I know that you've been collecting for a long time. It's not something that you just bought on an auction or bring a trailer. You have those cars like the Bizzarrini. Come on.
Yeah, so I say it's one car a year for 50 years. And I've been doing it since I bought my first car in 1970.
Okay.
And I sold one car, my D-type Jaguar, which was it was a mistake. I just ran out of room. I really had the cars in my garage at home.
Okay.
But some of the cars I've pursued, but most of them I've just kind of heard about. I'm very targeted. It's not like I go out and decide I want to get a Bizzarrini.
Okay.
If I'm going to have one, I want the Bizzarrini
The one,
or
yeah.
the Cobra.
The one that the guy drove to Le Mans. Yeah.
Right, the one that won Le Mans. And so I've been very selective, and I've paid over market for almost everything.
Well,
My mantra is buy the best and cry only once. Just when you write that check, it's so painful. But that, the short wheelbase Berlinetta, that's a Le Mans winner. And
Yeah.
I paid twice what a street car was worth.
the silver one, right?
The silver one with the number
But
14.
yeah, but how long ago?
It was
So that's
23
the best
years
investment you ever made. So
Yeah,
almost like
I
12,
did-
20 times more now.
ago. Yeah, it was. Listen, everything in here has not been a bad investment. And my family, they know that I'm going to keep these until I pass, and at that point they can do whatever they wish.
Really? You don't have like a, well, we all say, look, you
No,
need to take
no,
care
and
of this?
No, I don't have an estate plan for the cars. I think I've had my fun with them, and it's time for other people to enjoy them. It's just
Caretaker.
I'm a custodian. I'm
Custodian.
a caretaker. Exactly right. I don't own these cars. You know, if I could take them all with me, then I might have a different approach. But I know they're all going to stay back here and go into caring hands, because nobody's going to, you know, buy a Bizzarrini that doesn't know what a Bizzarrini is, or a Cobra, you know. So I know these are well cared for.
But you've been promoting that car.
Well, the most important thing for me is that it finds a good home and it's respected.
Somebody's going to take care, yeah. So 2 things here. So we talk about like you don't have a plan, but it's very important for me to understand what happened to the Peterson Museum after 2009 and Robert passed. Because over there, I remember going to the Peterson, it was just like this googie building with Johnny Rockets, smell of Johnny of chicken over there. And you have those mannequins going around. It was nice, but it was nothing like it was before.
Nothing like it is today.
And I think that the turning point was 2009, right? When he passed and she made a donation.
Well, kind of then. So when we first opened it, Robert E. Peterson was a very generous, brilliant businessman, and he bought a whole city block. It was an abandoned department store.
Yes.
And he thought, well, this would be a great car museum. So he came to me, and I guess I was the founding chairman. I was chairman for the first 10 years. We partnered with the Natural History Museum. The displays were dioramas, you know, where it's hard to change, you know, a car stuck in the mud or in a blacksmith.
There, yeah.
So what we did is we've now changed it. We reimagined ourselves about 15 years ago. We do nothing but change exhibits. So about every month we change an exhibit. So you can come over and over and over again and see something wonderful, new, and different.
Every time I'm here, stop by.
Yeah, it's
and
really,
at least the lobby. Check the lobby.
Oh
and
my
come
God,
back.
we have lowriders there now, which are unbelievable. The craftsmanship are just spectacular.
Yeah.
And we've made, you know, we've done a great service to lowriders, because, you know, some people just didn't know what a lowrider was. Now they understand it. They understand the cultural significance.
A lot of prejudice there.
And also it's a family thing. You know, the lowriders, I think every lowrider we have in there is family owned, family built. So it's not like some guy went out and bought a super expensive Ferrari and doesn't tell his wife. I mean, everybody's involved in this.
Oh, by the way, I got a car and told my wife. I got a 944 with 50,000 miles on it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's a great car.
It's nice. She doesn't know yet.
You know what? A friend of mine said,
she's going to Dallas tomorrow, so the car will arrive during the time that she's not in home.
Will she know that you got a new car?
No.
She's not so into cars.
No, she is, but...
Well, you know what? Friends of mine said, I hope my wife dies before me, because she will sell the cars for what I told her I paid for them. So you better be careful. When you tell her you paid $5,000 for it, you know, and then she thinks she hit a home run at $10,000.
$10,000, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more than that. But anyway, yeah, I'm sorry for that. But let me come back a little bit before we get into the Peterson, because I'm very curious about that. I'm curious about the architecture. And I remember when you guys doing the renovation outside, people start to complain about it because we're cleaning like a landmark. And now it's a new landmark and it's beautiful. But before we go there, let's come back to the CSX 2001. When you get this car, like say 25 years ago, this car had a life as a racing car, so they probably have different decorations, liveries, like roll cages, paint jobs, numbers. How you come back in history to decide, oh, I'm gonna go for this look, and I'm gonna go be faithful for this look here?
That's a really good question.
Oh, do you see, Carlos?
And for some cars it's easy. For some other cars you're like, where do I start? It's like I had a hot rod that I just donated to the Peterson, the McGee car. And this is a hot rod. It was conceived by a fellow named Bob McGee.
Okay.
And then it went to a fellow named Dick Scritchfield. And each one kind of painted it their color, added their own history, went to Bonneville with it. So when I got the car, I had to decide what point in time do we want to bring it back to. So in this particular case, it was easy because it was on the cover of Hot Rod, the first year of Hot Rod magazine. And that's what we did. The Cobra is another interesting story because it being the first Cobra, it had slab sides, skinny little wire wheels, 260 engine. And a friend of mine said, why don't you go back and put it the way it was when it was delivered? I'm thinking to myself, that's like taking a 32 Ford hot rod and turning it into a stock 32 again. There's enough of those. So I went back, and this particular car had a wonderful history. It also had history when it ran with a hideous-looking hardtop, and that was jettisoned like the second year. Let me just go back real quick. The car was built in New York. A fellow named Ed Hugas, who was the money behind Shelby Cobra. He built the car, and it was the very first one. I
didn't know they were building New York cars. Like
that. Well, he built like the first 12 cars. And then it was sold to a fellow named Lucky Kasner, Camerati Racing, who was the fellow that had that Corvette.
Okay,
Camerati.
the Ford car. Yeah.
He was a very well-known racer. He did a lot of Maseratis. Where was I going with this? Oh, so he took it to Le Mans. He realized that at that point Shelby was coming out with their own race cars, and he realized that his car was not as sophisticated as the new cars. So he sold it to a very wealthy Frenchman, who took the car and to Ford Motor Company Racing, Ford Racing of Europe, and said, I want to turn this into an FIA car. So that's when it was transformed into the car you see today. And that's what he raced. It was originally built with a hardtop. It ran the Tour Auto. It was the only Cobra ever to run the Tour Auto. It ran the Le Mans trials, and it won a lot of important races. But after probably the first year, they took the hardtop off.
Okay.
So
you had a lot of work after you get the car to
when I got the car. Well, interestingly enough, when I bought it, it had just been restored by a very wealthy Swiss man.
Okay.
And he had painted it Aston Martin green, and he'd done some things that I didn't think were
Aston Martin green.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, it just wasn't authentic enough for me. So we brought it back here to a fellow named Mike McCluskey, who's like the Cobra guru, and we stripped it down. It revealed an original body. You could see where the old top was taken off. And like you said, the doors are flared out with the fenders. All this was done in period, and it's pretty clearly when we stripped it down. So that's where we the point in time that we, first of all, I happen to like that point in time. The back end looks like a 427 Cobra. Front end looks like a slab side, 289. So it does have some unique features, which I wanted to celebrate. And that's why we did that particular time.
Very interesting. It's very interesting to know that you have to discover, because more expensive cars like the 250 SWB, the Scaglietti over there, they kind of respect it, but a car that is basically a rod hod that they just go racing classic, whatever it is after that, there's no much value. Right. I remember talking to Gary Wales, the guy who restored the Breadvan.
Oh, I just thought of the name of the Corvette restorer.
There you go.
Mike Pillsbury.
There you go.
God, it just kills me. When you get to be my age, they say you don't get same-day delivery, but it takes a while.
Bruce, to be honest, nobody believes your age here. Nobody believes your age.
I don't believe it.
You're backdated.
I think it was backdated.
You're backdated.
But Mike Pillsbury was that guy. Anyways, carry on.
But I'm talking about Gary Wales, who restored the Breadvan. I remember
he owned the Breadvan.
He owned the Breadvan and restored it. And that car had like several liveries, because after the race, they were not very successful in Le Mans. And then the guy just got exploited by several racers around France. And then finally, somebody called him and offered him. He was working out of Detroit. And he got the car. And he started to restore it. Of course, I think for him was a little bit easier because he went to the original car on the grid, the number 16 red one. But that was always my curiosity, because
that was designed by Bizzarrini.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That is what happened was, after Bizzarrini left Ferrari, one of his good customers wanted a GTO, and because Ferrari had changed management, he couldn't get a GTO, so he went to Giotto Bizzarrini, the father of the GTO, and said, build me a GTO. So that's what he built, the Breadvan.
The Breadvan.
I
heard there's something about the engine was a little bit bigger. So
and set back and down.
Set back and then more and more. It's a very interesting car. I think it's going to be one of the most expensive Ferraris that ever goes to sale.
Breadvan? Well, they made a duplicate of it. So the guy, it's raced now.
The one that races a duplicate?
Yeah,
But
totally.
he crashed it like 2 years ago,
That's right. It was the duplicate.
Great. Thank
Because
God.
sometimes these cars are so unique, people decide, you know what, I'm not
I want to use it, but I want to
yeah,
use it.
that's right.
Yeah. So, if you don't mind, I want to return a little bit of the Peterson situation. Congratulations! I know that you have an internship program now. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, it's the Bruce Meyer Scholarship Foundation, and what we did not have was a way for young people to learn the trades of restoration and restoring cars. We have Tom Malloy, who's a generous benefactor and owns Ed Pink Racing. He underwrote our shop area. So, but we weren't getting young people, and the old people are timing out, you know. So we put this little scholarship together, and what it does, it pays for and gives grants to young people that want to make automotive restoration their career. And in my opinion, if grants should be given, it should be given to trade schools where people can make things.
Yeah.
I mean, a degree in Greek literature is fine, but it's not going to pay the bills.
Yeah.
So, but if you know how to weld and fabricate,
Craft.
See, I think that, and frankly, I'm short on all those, but it matters, and you can earn a nice living.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. And
so hence the Bruce Meyer Scholarship Foundation, and we're having an event tomorrow night. We hope to raise $1 million for
the
it.
gala, right?
The gala,
Yeah.
which is going to be a big night.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit later than the gala will be gone by now, but yeah, I hope it was very successful.
Well, Chip Ganassi came out for the gala.
Oh, that's the reason. Okay.
Yeah, and I've got Billy Gibbons, ZZ Top.
Yeah.
He's going to play, and it's going to. And Jay Leno called me on, and said he's coming. So it's going to be
cool.
I know people. I don't know, but some people are coming for me.
Yeah.
I just want it to be a good time. I don't want them to just go through another chicken dinner and have a horrible time.
Talking about you a little bit, how do you feel now after so many achievements on the car culture? I know that you're a big rod defender and an advocate, but while we were doing the setup of the cameras, we were watching we're seeing all the pictures and replicas and the Hot Wheels collection under your name. How do you feel now after all that? Because your garage is here set. Your collection is set.
First of all,
I know that you have one or two projects going on, but how do you feel overall?
Well, I have to pinch myself because I've worked hard at legitimizing hot rods, which were always underappreciated.
Yeah.
And
do you feel like there was prejudice on that time?
Oh, absolutely.
As they have with the low riders now?
If you were a hot rodder, it was like you're a Hell's Angel. In other words, you're the 1% of car lovers that are no good.
So were you a no good guy? Were you?
No, I got by because I worked hard.
Okay.
But work matters, and saving your money and having a goal does matter.
Mm-hmm.
But I never had a goal to where I am today is just puzzling to me. My son said, "Dad, how did you end up with all those cars?" And I don't even know.
It's kind of your craft.
Well, it was my generation where you could do that. You could go to work, make enough money to save and buy a car, you know.
But what's the end result of your collections is your craft, your love about this. You know the history about everything. Everybody who comes here, you do a complete tour and they know the history about Bizzarrini. That's only you telling the history about the history.
Well,
right
so
now.
I hope I'm, perpetuating the history and saving the history. With hot rodding, it's very much the same way. I mean, these were amazing craftsmen. There would be no Cobra without hot rodders. End of story. There would be no Scarab without hot rodders.
And you
End
say
of story.
that the basic hot rod version is to pick up a bigger motor and put it in a smaller car? Is that what you can consider what it is, a hot rodder?
Well, hot rodder is somebody that has a better idea of engineering, maybe to make it go faster or do something performance-wise. It's about performance.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's probably as much the look, but in the early days, these guys were putting overhead valve heads on a flathead or a four-banger, and they were innovating constantly. Detroit couldn't even keep up with the hot rodders, and Detroit, thanks to the hot rodders, a lot of innovations went their way.
It was learned that way.
Yeah.
And how did you end up doing a 200-mile-per-hour trial?
To me, that was like a really big thing.
Still have the car here. See the helmet is there.
Yeah.
Is that the helmet?
No.
No,
That,
right?
oh God, no.
Okay,
that's what they call a pith helmet.
Okay.
And that's what that's what Alex Exidius drove.
Okay.
Wore. But because my family didn't understand the car thing at all. We didn't have the money. The idea of wasting your time on a car. I mean, why don't you just, they couldn't understand it. So I think now if they could see where we've come and where we have.
But when you say your family, you say your father and mother, or just like your family now, your wife and kids?
Oh no, my family now it's too late.
So they're gone.
No, my father and mother.
Okay.
They grew up during very hard times.
Okay.
So the idea of wasting your time or your money.
Okay. But come on. Hard times, but you were, let's be clear, you were around 20-something when you got the GTB4 over there, the yellow one, right?
In 1970, I was 29.
Okay, so 29 to get a Ferrari.
Well, it was $10,000, and by the way,
Okay.
that was my net worth.
Okay, so you scrap everything.
Of course.
So bad.
I literally, that was what I was worth.
There's an interesting story about that Ferrari that I overheard last time that I was here, that somebody asked you to trade for a GTO.
Yeah, that's how smart I was.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
So that was
but GTOs were selling for less than 4 cams.
Okay.
I mean, if I'd have been on my game, I would have bought a GTO if I'd have known. Because GTOs were $8,500, and my 4 cam was like $10,500.
Do you remember which GTO was?
Yes, Tom Price's. I have the
You
ad.
have the VIN
Yeah,
number,
I
the whole
have the
thing.
ad. I got the whole thing.
You know the car.
It doesn't bother me because I've so I've had as much fun as you can have.
Yeah, so that was a very interesting story.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the building, right?
Yeah.
So we started with a store of selling candle.
Right. Well, I just come back from Berkeley,
Okay.
and I thought the world needed a candle shop. Incense, this was the period.
That's what you learned in Berkeley?
Yeah. I didn't learn much. I've said my whole life, I never let school get in the way of my education. I was bartending, selling stationery, doing all kinds of crazy things. But this was me in
Oh my God, it has a picture.
1968.
Look at that.
Yeah. So you can see I was the candle guy.
Got the Beverly Hills
I
candle
opened,
guy.
Yeah. I
What
opened
were you driving by then?
at that point, before the Ferrari, I had a Porsche. I've always kind of been a Porsche guy.
Okay.
Because Porsches were also very cheap. I bought my first Porsche in 1961. It was $2,700.
Okay.
So it's not much. A Chevrolet Bel Air was that amount.
Yeah.
So I opened the candle shop, and looking like that, and the man that opened the candle shop took a liking to me, and was very kind to me, and introduced me to the Rotary Club and the Chamber of Commerce. So I got very involved in the city politics, not politics, but city support, and that's kind of how I started. And then I was able to buy the building from him like many years later.
So how was the neighborhood back then?
It was good. It was always good. Beverly Hills. I could have been in Pacoima.
Yeah.
And I would have bought my building and be worth less than I paid for it. But fortunately.
And collecting Honda Civics.
And collecting. So, and nothing wrong with Pacoima because it's a
No.
great community.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying it's just lucky I was in Beverly Hills.
That's very, very lucky. And you got the building, and then how long after the candle shop opens you got the building?
Probably 10 years.
10 years. So you rent for 10 years.
Yeah.
Was the candle selling well?
Yeah.
Really?
I did okay.
Did okay?
I mean, it wasn't, listen, you don't.
You got to the limit of the candle market.
It was I probably took it right to where it should go.
And then when you decide to make this your garage, when your garage at home became too small?
Well, this became a mail order. Then I got in the mail order business,
Okay.
and we used it for fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
Then we outgrew it, and we used it for offices and lunchrooms and restrooms. And then when I was turning 70 years old, I decided I'm going to gut everything
You're backdated, man.
and
You're not
move my
70 right
cars
now.
up here. I know. You know what's interesting? I was with a friend of mine, actually a very famous guy, and we're saying, 70 is the old 60,
Okay.
but 80 is 80.
80 is 80, that's it.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that now?
Every day I thank God. I'm very spiritual, and I'm blessed beyond imagine.
So when you turn 70, you decide to, okay, and now I need the time to make a garage for myself.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I just decided, I owe it to myself.
Did you have an architect to design this for you? Is
No,
that
my
all-
son
Okay.
and I and we had a great group of craftsmen,
Okay.
all Latinos that knew how to weld,
Well,
and we
beautiful,
just
yeah.
sit and designed everything.
it's beautiful. It's just
It
like,
really turned out, didn't it?
I probably will have garages around Europe that have more
Stuff.
stuff and cars, or even more. But the way that this is designed is just
Thank
like,
you.
oh my God.
Well, thank you very much.
We have a boss, Scott Bader, who has a garage that is just like, it's the kind of place that you just go and
Yeah.
just, oh my God. But this is just so beautiful, so serene.
Well, we
the
think it
whole
has
thing.
soul, and usually
Yep.
there's music going, and
It's
those
just
are
amazing.
really cool.
Sir, I could stay here the whole day talking to you, but I know how busy you are.
Yeah, I got to get going.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. And you have the gala, you have Chip Ganassi coming. But I want to tell you that it's very special what you do here. And I
Thank
know that
you.
we have people like your friend Jerry Seinfeld, you have Jay Leno. But those are guys, are media guys. And walking around here and seeing how much stuff that you did for the car culture is just amazing. I want to congratulate you.
You know, it's,
And I
it's
hope
like,
you know how
Oh.
important you are.
well, you're most kind. I've done what I've done out of love of the hobby and the people. I never did it with the idea of fame or
Yeah.
any kind of return on investment. It's the people that make the hobby. The cars bring us together, and it's the friendships that keep us together. And
But you
So-
keep doing things for the community. Look at the
Well,
Peterson
thank you.
Museum right now. I've been to over 50 museums around the world. That's nothing like that.
thank you.
Not even the Porsche Museum, not even
Thank
the
you.
Mercedes Museum. You
Thank
cannot
you.
approach that kind of stuff there. The Concours d'Elegance here on Father's Day.
That's
We
pretty
don't
fun.
like, yeah, that's pretty fun. I don't like very much because you have an event on Father's Day at the store too. We never can come, but yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a big day. Well, we picked that day because we figured, fathers don't need an excuse.
Don't need
There you
excuse.
go. Just come.
But again, congratulations, sir. It's amazing. Thank you very much for
Sure.
welcoming
No, it's
us
a
here.
pleasure, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
And your workmanship is amazing.
We're gonna do some pictures of the new MR Slotcar Corvette in real life over
Sure.
there, if you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
mind.
yeah.
And
Happy
maybe in the next one could be the 250 SCWB because they kind of raced it together in the same year, right?
to- Never know.
The Bizzarrini already
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, this is 65. The Corvette is 60, and the
And the Ferrari
Cor-
60,
61.
61. So it's all there, all same class.
Good.
Bruce, thank you very much, sir.
It's a pleasure. My pleasure.